Welcome to Friday. It is the 12th day of January, 2024. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism, reminding you that as temperatures get colder and the snow falls at Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, some hot springs could feel real good here in the coming days as everything is lining up and is on schedule. We saw a lot of winter weather, kind of a taste of it yesterday. It was just a salvo, just sort of a preview of what's coming as this very active pattern, a combination of Arctic air and Pacific moisture going to create just a lot of weather chaos. Very poor travel conditions are going to be noted across the region. The major interstates, those three in particular, all of the mountain areas and near the mountain passes, over the mountain passes, especially in Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado, but Utah and Idaho as well, really going to be impacted. We're going to see periods of snow. This will be the best period of snow in the high country of the West all winter season. It's already been a good week on the ski slopes and mountain slopes, but there's a lot more coming. Livestock interest, folks with livestock, folks with pets that are kept outdoors, the elderly, you'll need to want to check on them with the severe cold and the bitter cold wind chills coming. Do not venture out this weekend unless you're prepared. And as we have been mentioning, this whole quandary we've been in about this Arctic air mass and will it get over the divide or not, looks like it's going to happen, but right at the end of the outbreak, late Sunday and into Monday, we do see rebounding temperatures by the middle of next week. I don't see a classic big warm-up Chinook that'll sometimes happen, but certainly an easing by Wednesday of next week of the bitter cold. But from today through Tuesday, hang on. Take a look at this map. You'll be hard-pressed to find really anywhere in the U.S. where there isn't some type of winter advisory or something related to storminess. It's not often you'll see a map like this of the USA with this much on it. Notice this very large area right here of gray and light blue and pink and orange. This is all has to do with either bitter cold. That's what the gray here is in the blue. And then winter storm warnings, blizzard warnings. There is going to be a massive, this will be the biggest storm probably in several years in that area of the United States here coming this weekend. And plenty of weather here out west. If you take a look at Wyoming, you can see there is a laundry list here of advisories and warnings and watches. We've got high winds right here. The pink are winter storm warnings. The red here are blizzard warnings. The gray and blue areas are wind chill advisories and wind chill warnings. So it goes without saying, just a good idea to stay put this weekend. This is where we are right now with a 500 millibar pattern. This is actually by noon today. The Arctic air getting elongated here and stretching and now pushing south into the United States. I'm going to show you two satellite images. One here, which is showing you not a lot. You can't really see a lot here, but you can see the most recent storm headed now up into the Great Lakes, that one I just talked about. Here you can follow the cloud pattern of the jet stream winds diving across the eastern areas of the Gulf of Alaska. But we've been talking about what's going on up here, but you can't see it, can you? Well, let's use a different tool with the satellite image to where we're going to look at basically infrared radiation. And this is where it really stands out. Take a look at this. So watch this image now. You can see the bright clouds, the cold cloud tops here, but you can't really see too much else going on. But if we were to kind of look at the temperature, the infrared, you can see the bright cloud tops here of that developing storm into the Great Lakes. Notice up here, though, in Canada, you see the blue and the green? This is the bitter cold air that is right here. This air on the ground is just as cold as the air high in the atmosphere where these clouds are forming. So here it is. If you want to know where that bitter cold air is, you can really see it on the satellite imagery just getting into northern areas of Montana right now. That's why it doesn't look like it's moving very much. It's moving, but very slowly. So here it is. By tomorrow, you're going to see that blue get all the way down into here as that cold air spills along the divide. So this is where we are right now, and this is the precipitation that's coming between now and tomorrow evening. So through the course of the day today, into tomorrow morning, Pacific moisture is going to get pushed in. Another round of significant mountain snow coming. And then you see this little arrow here of moisture coming out. So southern Wyoming and northern Colorado later today and tonight will be picking up some snow, lighter snows across Montana, the Dakotas, central and northern Wyoming, heavy snows along the Wasatch here, western Wyoming into Idaho. Then places like Boise getting snow and some heavy precipitation here streaking on in. And this is the backside of that low headed towards the Great Lakes. So another significant snow event for eastern Nebraska and Iowa. So this is the first round of wintry weather through tomorrow. We've got a second round coming, and this is what the snowfall looks like. That's going to fall from today through tomorrow. You can see Interstate 80 in Wyoming getting picked on, I-70 in the high country of Colorado. Let's just follow I-80 into Nebraska and Iowa, a real problem there. Then you can see all the mountain passes here in the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies being impacted. Then a broad area of light to moderate snow up into this area here. So this is round one. Focusing in a little bit closer, you can see a little bit more detail as we get to closer to home here. So there's going to be some snow accumulations over the next 24 hours, especially as you can see in the high country. Here's a problem with this as well, wind. This is the predicted wind gusts today through tomorrow. Most of these wind gusts will be today. So you can see why we're going to have a problem. You take that snow that's going to be falling, and at the same time, a lot of wind with it. So this is just going to be an I-80 real headache. There's just no way around it. And through Muddy Gap, through South Pass, into these areas right here, travel is just going to be really, really difficult, if not impossible. And at the same time, we see the bitter cold descending coming in from the north. Look at these temperatures by tomorrow morning. This is by 5 a.m. Saturday. So what I'm showing you here is Montana. You can see the Idaho border here. So you can see up into Alberta, parts of British Columbia. We've been showing you this area here. Look at that, minus 56. All of these pink areas here, all that pink is where it could get to minus 40 Fahrenheit or colder. But even look by Saturday morning, minus 27 in Sheridan, 24 below in Gillette. We're talking 34 below zero near Cody and getting into the Bighorn Basin of Wyoming. Just bitter cold all the way across Montana in the central and northern eastern Wyoming by tomorrow morning. By Saturday evening and Saturday night, there's that low we've been talking about. Now, what this low is going to do is kind of battle the bitter cold air along the divide and kind of push it slightly more to the north and east. And what I'll show you here is that low coming off the Pacific is going to create a little bit of wedge where it's going to hold back the bitter cold. But this is by 5 a.m. tomorrow. By 5 a.m. tomorrow, we're talking near 20 below in Cheyenne. Sub-zero temperatures are going to get to Denver, then spilling out into the plains. And then you can see that large area of pink here in Canada going up into Montana. Now, this is where we're going to see possible record cold in some areas. This is Saturday morning. These are the wind chill values by Saturday morning. So you can see dangerously cold wind chills by sunrise tomorrow in many of those areas. The bitter cold, though, is going to be held back about right there through tomorrow morning. Now, notice this is by Sunday. There is a retreat of the bitter cold a little bit. That's because of this low. That's going to be tracking like this. Now you say, well, that's good news. That low is going to maybe push back a little bit of that bitter cold. But what this low is going to do, here it is feed Pacific moisture over the bitter cold boundary coming in out of Canada. So this is what we talk about when overrunning happens. Moist, warmer air comes over the bitter cold Arctic air along the divide. This is going to produce round 2 of snow. And you can see it develop. You can see that moisture comes off the Pacific. This is through Monday morning here. You'll see it develop. And as it collides, the collision of air masses produces another round of snowfall. And notice it's kind of in the same place where what's happening today will take place. So it's going to cover the I-80 corridor again, from western Nebraska through Wyoming, through Utah, across Nevada, then into California. So this will be the second round of precipitation. So you add these two together, and you're going to get snowfall totals that look like this between now and late Monday. So you can kind of see the path of where that's going to go. And you put that on the plains, and that just exacerbates the bitter cold air that comes on in. Now this is where the bitter cold gets over the divide. So notice you see the blue here and the light gray colors. Well, it gets a bigger push in the northwest Colorado, into northeastern Utah, into eastern Idaho, into Jackson, into Rock Springs, Green River, Evanston, into Pinedale, into Cora. It gets into those areas finally. And that's going to mean a very cold night Sunday night, a very cold Monday night into early Tuesday. And you can see the sub-zero readings covering a large area. Look at these temperatures down here in Texas by Tuesday morning. Lower 30s and getting colder in Houston. By Wednesday, though, these are our temperatures around noon Wednesday. So you can see a little bit of blue here. We do get a little bit of a Chinook, and we're going to see the bitter cold head more towards the Great Lakes in the northeast and retreat up into Canada. So by Wednesday, there is a break. But between today and Tuesday, we'll be under the onslaught. Real quick, before we end the podcast this morning, just to show you the challenges of trying to forecast past 10 days. And despite what we're told about our technology and our modeling skills, this gives you an example of trying to tell somebody what's going to be like 4 weeks from now. This is the climate forecast system model that was issued on December 12th for the month of January for the United States and for Canada, all the way to Alaska, all the way to Central America. Wherever you see the red, it was predicting anywhere from a half degree centigrade to more than 3 degrees centigrade above average temperatures for the month of January across the U.S. and Canada. This is what came out on December 12th. This is what came out on January 1st. So trying to use modeling tools for long-range forecast, I don't know how this could be really more wrong. But this is the challenge that we still face. So it's always a struggle, especially this time of year. That's why we continue to warn you. Looking at your 10-day forecast on your phone is fodder. Have yourself a good Friday. I will update this tomorrow, sometime Saturday. I will send out an update on where we are with this particular storm. Have yourself a good day. Stay warm. Check on the pets and the elderly and those pipes. Make sure you're going to stay warm through the weekend.